We spent the last month hanging out in Iowa, and we had an incredible time. We hiked in state parks, toured a Frank Lloyd Wright House, and toured the Iowa State Capitol. Iowa was a lot of fun, but it's now time to move on to a new state. Last year, we took a weekend road trip to Kansas City for a baseball game and some barbecue. While we were down there, we went to Joe's Kansas City Barbecue and tried a Z-Man sandwich, which they are famous for. The Z-Man sandwich consists of smoked brisket, smoked provolone, onion rings, and barbecue sauce sandwiched between a soft Kaiser roll. It was honestly the best sandwich either of us has ever had. The Z-Man was so good that we planned to come back to Kansas City to have it again. We had a hard time finding a campsite near Kansas City for the week we were going to be there, so we looked a little further out into Kansas. We were able to find a site in Clinton State Park, just outside of Lawrence, Kansas. This park sat on the north shore of Clinton Lake, a large reservoir created by the construction of the Clinton Dam, and ran by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. There are two loops in Clinton State Park's campground, Prairie Flower and Cone Flower. We stayed on the upper side of the Cone Flower Loop, so we did not have a lake view, but we did have some nice prairie grass right behind our campsite. The park has a couple trails, disc golf, an archery range, and a large boat launch. It also sits right next to the Army Corps of Engineers Overlook Park, which offers an overlook of the lake as well as a few more trails. We spent our first day in Kansas with some family that were in town for the day while traveling on a 13-day road trip. We all met up at Joe's Kansas City Barbecue in Olathe. This is one of 3 locations for this restaurant. The original location is inside of a gas station in Kansas City, Kansas. We went to the original location the year before, but this time the Olathe location was closer to us. And the best part was that there was no wait. Keisha and I both ordered a Z-Man sandwich and some onion rings. It was just as delicious as we remembered. The next day we decided to explore the State Park and Corps of Engineers Park next door. We went down to the boat ramp to check out the lake and saw some hungry fish biting at the surface. We also went to the Overlook Park next door and checked out the lake from there. Afterwards, we hiked a short nature trail in the state park that took us across a prairie and up a hill and back. There were also children's storyboards along the trail that told the story as an oak tree grows. It was a very nice evening walk. On Thursday, we went to Lawrence, where we visited the Spencer Museum of Art on the University of Kansas campus. The museum was free and had an exhibit on Native American fashion downstairs, as well as some more art on display upstairs. There were some really neat and interesting artwork there. We really enjoyed walking around and checking it all out. After checking out the art museum, we grabbed some dinner to go at Runza. This restaurant is mostly based in Nebraska, but they have a location in Lawrence, and they offer sandwiches called runzas. A runza is a bread pocket filled with ground beef mixed with cabbage and onions and a blend of spices. We ordered a cheesy runza and some fries and onion rings, and then parked at the Clinton Dam to watch the sunset over the lake and eat our dinner. The runza was delicious. We are looking forward to having some more when we are in Nebraska or Kansas again. On Saturday, we headed to Topeka, the capital city of Kansas. On the way there, we passed a cool little park with some historical markers for Lecompton, Kansas, which was the capital of the Kansas Territory, as well as a marker for an Oregon Trail camp. When we got to Topeka, we visited the state capitol. While we were outside checking out the pretty flowers and monuments they had on the Capitol grounds, there were a couple of airplanes in the sky pulling some unique maneuvers, which ended up drawing a giant smiley face in the sky. It was pretty neat and awesome timing for us to catch that moment. The Kansas State Capitol was amazing. Their dome had a statue of Ad Astra on top, as well as a replica of this on the ground. They also had an interesting visitor center that was pretty much a museum of how the Capitol was built, the history of Kansas, and famous Kansans. They even had the state marine fossil on display. There were many halls of interesting information regarding these things in the visitor center. We spent a lot of time walking through this area before we even started exploring the Capitol. The inside of the Capitol was very interesting. There were so many cool murals all over the place. Definitely a lot of neat artwork there. You could also access the balcony of the House and Senate. It was a really neat building that is worth the visit. After we toured the Capitol, we decided to have lunch at Flying Tiger. This restaurant is also a brewery, and they have several award-winning beers to choose from. I enjoyed a flight before settling on a pint of Flying Tiger Bock. We ordered the Tiger Q platter that came with brisket, burnt ends, and pulled pork, as well as loaded mashed potatoes and cheese fries for our sides. The sides were awesome. The meat was pretty good, except for the brisket, which we felt was too dry. After eating lunch and running some errands in Topeka, we decided to drive around Perry Lake, which is another reservoir located nearby. Unfortunately, the road to Perry State Park was closed, so we did not visit the park, but we did get a few views of the lake. It ended up being a mostly quiet week for us in Lawrence, Kansas. We were able to get a lot of errands done in this time, as well as check out some cool new things. We really enjoyed Topeka and the state capitol, as well as the Spencer Art Museum at the University of Kansas. It was a beautiful week on the prairie, and we look forward to returning to Kansas another time. For now, we head to Missouri next. Hope you enjoyed.